What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are up in Kalispell, Montana at Mov Motorwerks, which is Montana overland vehicle. We are going to be installing the new Dobinsons lift, the MRRs on the Tacoma, along with some SuperSprings as well. This has been a long time coming. I've always wanted to install the MRRs from Dobinsons onto the truck, and I am so stoked to finally make that happen. Huge thanks to Mov as well up here in Kalispell. If you have any work that needs to be done on your Tacoma, your Toyota, whatever it is, definitely hit these guys up for whatever it is. Super nice shop. They have a ton of overlanding stuff as well for sale in here, from iCamper, Dometic, whatever it is, Front Runner. They have it, so make sure to check them out. We're going to be going over how to do the lift as well. So if you are not installing a Dobinsons lift or something similar, hopefully this video will give you some insight and some tips on how to install the front, the rear, and then like I said, we're also going to be installing some SuperSpring bump stops in the rear as well. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and see you on the flip side.
Hey, I'm Avery. This is Matt. That's my dad. We started Mov Motorwerks here in Kalispell, Montana about a little over 2 years ago. It was a COVID venture. We decided that we were getting into overlanding and doing mods to our cars, and we decided we should do it to everyone else's cars too. And yeah, just do what we do best. We have a good eye for detail and a care for detail and keeping stuff clean, and so that's what we pursued and continued to try to do every day.
Yeah, for us it's just a lot of fun. We get to work together as a family, and you know, father, son, and kind of just go out and do the things that we've kind of always done. We get to spend time in the outdoors because of it, but we get to meet a lot of great people. Most of our customers here become really good friends, and that's just kind of how we work, and we like to take care of everybody. And you'll see us kind of going the extra mile on a few things, that just because we're picky and like to see it go out like it was our own. So we really enjoy.
Awesome. And what type of vehicles do you guys specialize in, or do you guys kind of specialize on a variety of different vehicles here?
Yeah, so we do pretty much every overlanding rig. So we wheels and tires was our start of our shop, and then we kind of segued into overlanding. And so we personally love Volkswagens and Porsches, and that's what we pursue as personal. But you know, Toyotas and Jeeps are what's popular, so we do all of them, and you know, we try to keep it to all the accessories that are ready to go and make your car livable and campable. So.
Awesome. And what brands do you guys mostly carry in store here?
So we are a iCamper dealer for tents. So iCamper is usually always in stock, and then we carry most brands from you know, ARB, Old Man Emu for suspension and accessories, all the way to Dobinsons and Prinsu and diode lights, and then yeah, much more. So.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, so as we play a little bit of slow B-roll in the background here, I want to discuss the kit once again. So we decided to go with the Dobinsons Billet upper control arms, which have an OE-style sealed ball joint, which results in a maintenance-free life, which is a +1 over the SPCs. We're also upgrading to the Dobinson MRRs with the remote Resis, and these are going to be a massive upgrade. So nothing against the twin tube nitrocharge that I had on there. Phenomenal kit. Actually, when they took them off, they were still in amazing shape for the 40 to 50,000 miles that I put on them. Just with the overall build of the truck now, my driving style, it's drastically changed since, or from 2 years ago, I should say, and I was definitely due for an upgrade. I also think Dobinsons is probably by far one of the most slept on suspension companies in the States right now, just because they've only been over here for a few years. They're very popular, obviously, down in Australia. But when people think or talk about suspensions in the States, it's either Icon, Fox, or King. don't really hear too much about Dobinsons. And again, Dobinsons' popularity is definitely coming up as more people are putting these shocks on. I have about a week on them thus far at the time of recording this audio, and I can just say the upgrade over the twin tube nitrocharged is phenomenal. The ride quality is night and day difference. I was purposely trying to hit potholes, washboard when we went out camping last weekend, and it was incredible. I am so stoked to push this new suspension to some new limits, test it out fully over the next coming months, and give a full, honest review after I put it through its paces. But in the very early few days of testing it, it has been incredible. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive back into the video and continue the install.
So I'm spraying down everything that that my tools will be touching today. This Toyota is pretty good. Toyotas, usually older ones, end up getting pretty rusty, so you sometimes want to spray them a day in advance to make life easy. But spray everything your tool touches and makes life much easier for every bolt to come out and not seize up or anything like that. So I start with this brake line bracket, or ABS line bracket, to get it off out of the way. You need to do this even when you're not replacing the uppers, just so it keeps everything from getting too tight and tearing everything. We're removing suspension components. We always want to take care and not ruin anything when it's coming out in case it has to go back in. One thing we notice on this is he's got some upper control arm wear on his ball joints, but we're still gonna be careful and make sure that's not coming out. When we're removing the suspension, we usually always remove the ball joint from the spindle to help create clearance for the coil to come out. In this case, he's getting a new upper control arm, so we're pulling the whole upper control arm. So we'll break this guy loose and then pull this flap down, and you remove a 12mm down in here on a brake line. That helps get clearance to get a socket and make life easier on this bolt. You can fish that bolt out and the upper control arm can come out, and then you're on the stages to getting the new control arm in. In this case, we're pulling a coil out, and that makes the coil really easy to remove. So we'll remove the top bolts off of the 14mm, and then the 119mm, and shimmy it out while it's all out, and makes life pretty easy. And then all the new stuff will go back in the same order. When you're removing the upper control arm, you have to break this ball joint loose, and if you're not using a press or a clamp, like on these ones, you can whack. There's a good open flat spot right here on the spindle to whack. I usually leave this threaded on a few threads so it doesn't come flying off, and yeah, it usually works just like this. Let's see, just one hit. Cool. When we pull this apart, you want to make sure this is supported well and not yanking tight against any of your lines, so it's not tearing anything. So we always like to push it and then throw some sort of tie or wire or whatever holding it closer to the frame to help keep it from ruining anything. And then when we get up in here, this has already had upper control arms installed once, but usually you have to bend this tab or this flange out of the way to get the upper control arm bolt fish through, and there's a couple wires we've got to go up top to move out of the way to get this bolt to slide out nicely. So we'll do that next. It's good to go, Dad. Yep. Okay. Oh, looks like So you start with the coil. You get the 14mm up top. Sometimes they take a little bit extra pressure to get broken loose. So sometimes you have to get a dead blow in on your wrench to get them off up top. But you break them loose, work them loose. I don't take them all the way off quite yet till I have the bottom side undone. So yeah, you just work this top and then you go down and do that 19 millimeter on the bottom and get the coil dropped out. So when we pull this out, sometimes you have to pry the bottom, which I'm going to have to do right here. Just pop it out of its, I can't remember the name right now, out of its pocket. And then you just kind of fish it down. You want to watch your CV boot that you're not tearing anything. Pull it right out. It's out easy and good to go. Every time we remove something, we like to put the bolts that came with it back on it, just so they're tidied up and not reusing them if we don't have to, and they are where they're. So when we throw these in, you want to watch and make sure you're feeding everything the right way so you don't have to remove a coil. And then always have one of the upper bolts in hand ready to go so it can be secured easily. When we install these, anytime we do anything new like this, we like to use a rag or something to help keep it from marring or scratching up the surface so you don't corrode the shock assembly earlier, and just help it keep it looking good. Sometimes, like this one, we're probably gonna have to get a jack underneath here and help push it in. We'll see if we can get it by hand. Alright, so with these upper control arms, they're pretty nice. They are fully adjustable. We recommend the Dobinsons upper control arms to everyone because they have rubber bushings that are less likely to fail and quieter for normal everyday driving. We were setting them to their factory specs, which is 3 degrees of caster with no camber adjustment so far, but they allow adjustment both sides, and you can dial them in for extra caster, less caster, or camber, however you want, and they're pretty convenient, pretty nice control arms. Alright, let's see. Alright. Maybe. Do you have any movement up there, Dad? Okay, stop there. Let's see. Gotta try to get clearance to get this washer in. Okay, there you go. You're started. So this upper arm goes back in. You feed the bolt back through. You want to check and make sure it is clearancing everything in its range of motion, and get everything kind of put back to where it goes. So you want the Dobinson's reservoir clearing going in between right here, like their instructions say, then clearing up top, and then once it's mounted, and then the ABS line, you want to make sure that's sitting up on top and good to.
We're going to swap out these Timbrins, which are already a good bump stop, for some SumoSpring bump stops, which just give you kind of a smoother finish on your bumps there. And so, a nice setup. We'll swap it out. So we're going to use a breaker bar to kind of get these things loosened up, and then we'll get them the rest of the way off. And that part of the swap out's going to be fairly simple. And then we'll be on to changing out the springs. While Avery was pulling out the front strut assembly there, we got this back one pulled out, and we're We're going to leave it out for the duration while we're swapping this bump stop, just to give us a little more clearance in there. But you can see that Dobinson's still, really good shape. It's kind of like what we like to see when you pull something out, and you'll see them though that are nice and worn out that just drop and fall apart. But this one's still in really good shape. When I get in here, Toyotas, with the winters we've had lately, I'm going to check for any kind of rust around the seams, things like that, and we like to treat those things and get those nice and cleaned up. Just stay ahead of that. Rust-Oleum makes a good spray rust converter that is nice to keep around for that kind of thing. Just helps you get more life out of your vehicle. But everything on this one's looking great. We'll clean it up and get that swapped out and get this side reassembled and move on to the other side soon. Pretty, huh?
Alright guys, so this is the passenger side. The driver's side was okay, we didn't have to drill into the frame, but for the Resi mount on the passenger side, just had to drill a small hole and got to cover it up with some paint, and we should be good to go.
I know you. I was just gonna say, because usually that's the sign.
All right, what is going on, guys? As you can tell, we are no longer at Move. We are no longer up in Kalispell either. So wanted to wrap up this video and kind of discuss just my overall impressions with getting the lift installed. Overall impressions thus far, it's only been a week actually since the install. Yeah, so about a full week. And in that week, have been able to take the truck off roads somewhat, obviously, to the best extent that I can. So after the lift install last week, we did go camping and actually drove quite a bit on dirt roads because we did go up to Pole Bridge and whatnot. And just in that very short time period, again, this is just first impressions of how this lift feels versus the twin tube nitrocharged SPC upper control arms. Night and day difference compared to that. Again, that lift was fantastic when I put that on the truck because as the truck sat back then, just a bed rack, a rooftop tent, no bumper, just had sliders on the side, no underbody protection yet. It rode fantastic. Okay, it was a great entry level lift. It was super affordable at the time when I purchased it. Still is a super affordable lift, and the lift served basically everything I asked out of it. Okay, even up to getting the MRRs installed, the lift was still doing fairly well. The only issue that I've had with that lift has been the SPC upper control arms. Okay, that is the main crutch of this all, and maybe it's just my luck with that product. I've gone through 2 sets of upper ball joints now, and I know SPC has updated them now, so they're non-serviceable. I think that was an issue in the past that they were running into, is that people weren't potentially greasing their upper ball joints. They were going bad. People were complaining, they're shot, whatever. But again, I know people that have had 0 issues with their SPCs. I just had a really bad string of luck with the SPC upper control arms, hence why I went to the Dobinsons Billet, okay? So went to the Dobinsons Billet mainly just also to match the wheels that are on the truck. I thought it would really give the truck a complete look from having the machined SSW wheels, having the Billet upper control arms, and then we went with the teal springs as well in the front to match the teal max tracks that I have up on the roof overall. But first impressions on the lifts are incredible. It rides extremely smooth. I was purposely trying to hit, potholes when we were out on the dirt roads. We hit a little bit of washboard as well, and I mean, it's phenomenal. Like, the difference is night and day difference. When you're paying for a kit that is, $3,000, $4,000, whatever it is, depending on whatever you add to the truck, versus a kit that is, closer to about $2,000. Yeah, the difference is going to be noticeable in that case. All right. Again, there is nothing wrong with that kit, the twin tube nitrocharge that I had on there prior. It's just the truck has evolved into something much bigger than back then. And obviously the suspension and all of that has to be upgraded to suit that, okay? So right now the truck maybe sits actually a little bit lower than it did with the previous lift, just due to the spring that I went with, and then also the preload that Dobinson set that at. They recommended setting the front around 2.5 inches just for the best ride quality, whereas before I was probably closer to about 2 3/4, almost a full 3 inches. And then I am running a stage 3 Deaver in the rear just to help with the added weight, because obviously I have the Super Pacific, which doesn't weigh that much more than the GFC in the past, but now I have a full goose gear essentially built out in the rear. I am in the works of potentially adding a rear bumper at some point. I would also like to maybe just add a swing out, so like rigged, for example, just so I can carry a bike and have honestly a table to prep food in the rear and carry a full-size spare is realistically what I'm after. I don't know if I really fully need like a high clearance rear, and just adding that extra weight to the truck is probably a little bit unnecessary at this point. So again, stage 3 Deaver in the rear, so I have a little bit of rake for sure, just because the Deaver stage 3 is rated for such a high amount of load in the rear that with the previous setup, way before the GFC, actually I did need that spring or that extra load capacity in the rear for having the decked, the RSI smart cap, and then a CVT mount hood all on the back of the truck. So the truck was super heavy before. Not saying it's not heavy right now. It's definitely a little bit on the heavier side, but I really don't want to go any heavier than this if I don't have to. So hence the reason why maybe just looking for like a hitch receiver for a swing out to have that table, and then maybe a bike carrier as well, which we're going to need for this upcoming summer. With that being said, huge thanks to Mov Motorwerks. Avery and Matt were phenomenal for allowing me to come into the shop, allowing me to film. So huge thanks to those two. It's a great shop. If you guys need any work, you know, whether it's a Toyota or whatever it is, make sure to hit those guys up. Phenomenal crew. They'll make sure that you're well taken care of. And if you guys need to order anything like that, definitely hit them up and they'll be more than happy to take care of you for that. Also to Dobinsons as well. So this was a partnership with Dobinsons. Dobinsons didn't require me to say anything about it. Just basically offered to do a full install. And again, there has been some concern about maybe being biased one way or another on certain products. And I plan to highlight that actually in my 6-month review, or 25, 30 night review of the Super Pacific. But biases are going to come in different ways or different forms, and just receiving potentially a product for free or a product at a discounted rate isn't necessarily going to directly influence bias. Okay, bias can come in different forms. So for example, if someone has previous experience with a product, previous experience with an individual, that can also influence bias, all right? So huge thanks to Dobinsons, and then SuperSprings, also to those individuals over there. They reached out, they offered to toss in a front and rear kit for the Tacoma, and they've been super awesome as well. So there is going to be a 10% discount code if you guys are interested in purchasing those for your vehicle as well, down in the description. Again, I get a small little kickback from that, but really I'm just thankful for these companies being able to pitch in so I can do these types of videos for you guys and potentially answer any questions, comments that you have about any of these products. Really, that is my overall vision for this page, is to just provide you guys with feedback, reviews, my experience with these products. So when you're going out to buy these, whatever it is that you have, kind of that in your back pocket. Anyways, I don't want to make this video too much longer, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, if you guys want to support the channel, just leaving a like, leaving a comment, subscribing is the best thing that you guys can do. If you leave a comment, I am responding to all comments. Like, that is my goal. No matter how big the channel gets, 50, 100,000, whatever it is, I will always be responding to comments because I love doing that. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and there's a lot coming down the pipeline. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be dropping. I'm super stoked. The summer's going to be huge, and I am so excited to have all you guys along for the journey. So see you all in the next video.